What do I want to do? Whatever serves this world and serves God's people. What does John want to do? I just want to be happy. I want to be loved. So the question for today is, what do I want to do? Just sort of an interesting question. I have to, I guess, explain how I got to where I am with it. Best way I can do is put it into a metaphor, and that metaphor is early in my life I found myself in a river. And that river was sweeping downstream, and I was struggling to walk upstream in that river. And I kept stepping forward and getting pushed further downriver and fighting, and just couldn't make any headway. No matter how much I fought, that river kept pushing me downstream. Then I realized that that river I was fighting against was God's will. And then I finally said to myself, oh, I will just surrender to the river and God's will. And I started getting swept downstream, and I felt good because I was going, with God's will. And then I saw a rock coming up in the middle of the river, and then whoop, I hit that. And then I saw some branches in the river, and whoop, whoop, I hit that. And I saw some old barbed wire on some old posts sticking up out of the water, and got tangled up and cut up in that too. Then I started to understand that being swept down the river in God's river of intentions, you can get caught up in some things that are pretty brutal that don't make much of a difference. And so when I saw the next boulder coming, I learned that I can swim, i.e., exercise my own free will within the river of God's intentions. And both my intentions and God's intentions are going in the same direction, but I'm also steering myself around those big rocks and snags and dangers. So it's God's creation and my creation co-creating. And then from there, I would occasionally being able to steer myself around these dangers and perils and risks, I came to a fork in the river. And I prayed and prayed and prayed about which fork to take, and I finally took a fork and was never quite sure if that was the right fork. And I came to another fork, and I spent a lot of time, and I figured, discerned which fork. And then I came to a spot where there were 4 forks in the river. And I sat there a long time not knowing where to go, what to do. Used all of my discernment, all of my intuition, all of my prayer. And finally, in a dream, I was lifted up out of the river and lifted high above the earth, and I saw that all of the different branches of the river eventually made it to the ocean. So to some degree, it didn't matter which branch you took. It doesn't matter which decision you made. You would end up where you're supposed to go, because it is the river of God's intentions. And if you're swimming with God's intentions, even if you're exercising your own free will, you still end up where you're supposed to be. And that's a pretty loaded statement, ending up where you're supposed to be. This I do know, is that I'm better off when I surrender myself. And I don't say, what does Padre John want to do? I say to the divine, what is it you would want me to do, Lord? Where are my gifts meeting up with the world's needs? As a result of all of that, what do I want to do? Whatever God wants me to. What do I want to do? Whatever serves this world and serves God's people. What does John want to do? I just want to be happy. I want to be loved. That's all I need to do. have enough, be grateful, keep my eye on God, keep my ear out to hear what God is pushing me towards, listen to my heart, use all of my cognitive skills, all of my extracurricular senses to figure out where I'm needed and wanted in the world. And that's how I move and breathe and feel. And very often I find myself waiting. Sometimes my do is do nothing. Sometimes God calls us to rest. Sometimes God calls us to wait. Sometimes God says, you need to wait here because if you leave right now, that airplane is going to crash with you on it. So a lot of times we think things are being done to us when they're actually being done for us, even though it might not feel like it that way. So what do I want to do? What I've been doing for the past 40 years or so is actively surrendering and offering myself up to God. Some people say that's a prayer of oblation. Lord, do with me what you will. Or Lord, make me into a tool that you can wield in your hands. So, what do I want to do? God's will. That's it. So to all of you, peace, blessings, and in all things, courage. Good night, my friends.